Each day you wake up and you have to try and figure out where you're going to either take a shower, where you're going to eat, your next meal's coming from. You just got to try and figure out what to do every day.
This is what I miss the most: clean clothes and a shower.
Sleeping outside is terrifying. You never really get a good night's sleep.
I've had my car broken into at least twice with me present.
My situation was leading me to think of suicide.
People die. People die out here. Obviously, it can be really a toll on your physical system to be out here. People can get really sick.
And the kids that ride their skateboards, they call me the man who lives behind the wall. I got a nickname. The man behind the wall.
Homelessness can happen to anyone, anyone. It touches all walks of life. It touches all races, all cultures, all religions. If you put together the right combination of catastrophes or disasters, this is not something that any of us are immune from.
I moved to Thousand Oaks in 1971. I was 11 years old. I'm a mechanic and an assembly technician. I work for Rockwell International Rocketdyne Division. I work for ITT. Show me a blueprint, give me the part. I'm Christian, don't use drugs, smoke some cigarettes every now and again, but I'm an alcoholic. I've been homeless for 2.5 years.
I come from a field of software engineering. I worked in that field for approximately 35 years. I had a husband. He was disabled. I took care of him. When the economy went bad, it went in parallel with my husband developing a terminal illness. So there was a big struggle between trying to find any gainful employment whatsoever because my whole team had been outsourced to other countries. And my husband died at about 5 years ago on Thanksgiving. I was out of my house 2 weeks later at Christmas time. I'm in treatment by a doctor for all this time, and I have nervous disorders, and I take medication for those disorders. I'm classified as homeless because I'm not in a stationary structure. I'm in a vehicle.
It was hard. It was very hard adjusting from a life of being a millionaire to being a pauper. I did very well working for the bank. I was top 10% nationwide in sales. Business was good until the recession started. I just kept living my same lifestyle instead of downsizing or whatever, and I just ran out of money. First losing the family house because I couldn't make the payments anymore. And then moving out, and then I found out I got cancer. Being on chemo in my car was a very hard thing to do.
The state of California leads the nation in poverty. The U.S. Census Bureau says we're over 20% of our citizens are impoverished. It has affected not only the county of Ventura, but also the city of Thousand Oaks. The city has approximately 250 plus homeless. Now, granted, we don't have the same homelessness population that LA does or that San Francisco does, but it still has increased in the course of time I've been here as the mayor. And so as a city, we need to address it.
Our officers out on the streets are encountering homeless persons somewhere between 3 to 5 times per shift per officer. So it gives us a good sample base of our residents of who are these people? And it's a big question I get asked by the public. Who are these people? Well, my answer is simple. They are us. They are your brother, your sister, your cousin, your neighbor, your coworker. These are people that are born and raised in this area. In fact, the mass majority of the people that are homeless on our streets in the city of Thousand Oaks are from here. Do we have people from out of the area? Absolutely. But we have a good majority of the people are from right here in our backyards in Thousand Oaks.
Our largest growing population of homeless are the elderly and those who are disabled. I wish that the people in the community could see what we see here, and that's moms and dads and children. A lot of the people that we deal with day in and day out have nothing to do with addictions or mental illness. They just have been dealt a bad hand.
The Thousand Oaks Police Department has a very unique and innovative policing unit called the Vulnerable Populations Unit. This is 2 highly trained officers that are out in the field every day on the streets of Thousand Oaks, providing both enforcement services and social services to this segment of the residents of our population. These vulnerable populations officers know each and every homeless person out there. They deal with them on a daily basis and partner along social service providers such as Harbor House and LSS and Ventura County Behavioral Health to provide both services and to assist the community to hold these homeless people to the same standards as any resident.
So Lutheran Social Services, also known as LSS, is a faith-based nonprofit focused on serving those in need in the Southern California area. Now we have a location in Thousand Oaks. It's a drop-in center, and here we provide daily showers, laundry, food, and clothing services to those who are homeless or lower income. One of the ways that really helps us and allows us to connect individuals to resources is actually the building that we're located at. It's called Community Conscience, and they host a large amount of nonprofit organizations and allow us to stay there at no cost, no rent or anything like that. So we have a dental clinic, we have human service agency upstairs, health checkups, child counseling, a lot of different resources. The biggest and the best way, right, how we are able to help individuals sustain themselves is by collaborating with other nonprofit agencies that have a similar mission in mind.
Harbor House is a newly founded nonprofit, and we started out of a need and a desire to serve the local homeless, the local poor, trying really hard to use local donations to serve local needs. We provide case management. That's probably the most valuable thing that we provide because it's the one thing that can make a significant difference in the life of a homeless person. And we provide emergency assistance to people who are housed but living very fragilely so.
I use EBT for my food, and that's it.
During the day, I'm lucky I go to the Goebel Center, Senior Center, whatever, and because I'm over 60, I get a free lunch.
People give us food donations all the time. Very rarely have to go buy food.
You know, Harbor House and LSS, we have food to feed the homeless.
We provide a nightly meal, a hot meal, 365 days a year. There are over 700 community volunteers involved in that, cooking the meal, serving the meal, hosting the meal.
Every night that homeless dinners are served, they reach approximately average 50, 60 people, winter as well as summer. The very people whom we fed tonight, whom we feed every night in the city of Thousand Oaks, on church grounds mostly, are people that you would never suspect of being homeless. You would never suspect it. They are the working poor. They simply don't earn enough money in order to pay the rent, to make the mortgage.
I have 0 addictions, no disabilities. I don't smoke or drink. I've never panhandled or asked for money. I believe my boss knows I'm homeless. I work 40 hours a week. I've had that job for 10 years now. I can't rent a house or apartment because my credit is real bad. I'm saving my money, I'm saving my paychecks. I'd like to be able to sustain myself once I get an apartment.
We have over 380 miles of streets in this city, and there is somewhere between 10 and 20% of the homeless population lives in their cars. That is not a crime, but they are required to move that car every 3 days, just like any other resident in the community.
I've been homeless, living in my vehicle for 3 years. I was a teacher. I was a sociology degree. I worked at a place like Harbor House, helping this type of populations. I'm on the housing list, many mansions in the HUD housing list, but when I got here 3 years ago, I said, how long? And they said the waiting list is 8 to 20 years. I can't afford to rent a house in Thousand Oaks on my Social Security income. I could maybe rent a room for like $650, but what am I gonna eat? You know, and I have to pay my Medicare, and I have to, you know, and I wanna keep my vehicle. I'm still able to drive, and even if I had a room, I wanna keep my car. We do have winter shelter here, but it's from December 1st until March 31st. Then we're back out.
people can spend all day long just trying to get to a church for the evening, after which the buses have already stopped running.
Being homeless and being jobless and not having a driver's license, it's hard to move back and forth in between the areas where they're letting you stay and feeding you. It would be easier if it was more centralized.
I think it would make a huge dent if the shelters ran all year long instead of a few months, and then people get booted out and they have to run up and down the trails trying to find campsites. It's pretty chaotic.
I think by the time that some of our homeless are living in an encampment, say, I think that the health status is horrendous. I think they're living in dehumanizing situations. I think their life expectancy is significantly lower than the rest of the population.
And when we're in those camps, you have to visualize it. There are no bathrooms, there is no running water, there are no facilities. So everything that a person does to live in one of these camps is left right there. So all of their waste belongings, both personal from themselves or from their living conditions, accumulate and pile up.
We need a permanent shelter for people. We need a place where they can be, a bed that they can call their own, and a community. I think community, in other parts of the country, we're learning that community is so often the solution to a lot of what ails them.
When the Boise ruling went into effect in 2019, the city of Thousand Oaks was left looking and saying, we must allow homeless to sleep on our streets based on the federal ruling. We took that ruling and we applied what are called circadian hours. That's when a human being needs sleep, from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And we applied that to limit people sleeping on public property here in the city of Thousand Oaks. We actually enforced it to a greater level than the federal government did. But we are committed as a city. The city wants to help, but we want to do this as a community.
In order to manage the homeless problem in Thousand Oaks, we need the participation and buy-in from various groups. Right now, the City of Thousand Oaks is the convener. We are bringing together various nonprofit groups, the Thousand Oaks Police Department, the County of Ventura, the churches. We need everybody together in order to tackle this problem. And the biggest part really also is the resident, the neighbor. We have got to have the understanding, compassion, and help from the residents.
Sometimes people drive by and give me $2, give me $5, give me $20. I wait for people to give me money and I go buy alcohol.
It is Harbor House's belief that panhandling is a problem in our community. I think that's because people think that we're helping a problem by throwing money at it, and that's not always the solution.
We're professionals. We know what we're doing. We know how to help that person go beyond panhandling every day. If you have an agency working with them, you have an actual case manager who can determine what their actual needs are and develop a plan with them to move on to that next step, if that's something that they want to do.
When we give intentionally to organizations that are working on this problem strategically, and we're not just throwing money out the window to whoever's asking, I think the money goes further, and I think it makes a bigger difference.
The City of Thousand Oaks implores you, please don't give money or food to a homeless individual. There are many wonderful nonprofits that already supply these services to the homeless, and they also have caseworkers. We need to direct these homeless to those organizations. So as a city, would you join me in helping them help the homeless?